we're back with another chapter of A Treasure Discovery by LizzeXX. We are now on the last bit of the long game episode. So yeah. And if you want to follow along, chapter links to both archive and fanfiction are in the description below, as always, for you to follow along. But yeah, let's just get right on into this, shall we? Chapter 6. The Long Game. An Open Mind. Adam walked through floor 139, swiftly turning and pretending to be any old body standing there checking his watch as Cathica came out of a workroom, not seeming to notice him. She walked off towards the computer the doctor had hacked into for the codes, glancing around as she entered the lift, put in the code, and took off up to floor 500. Angel winced as she struggled in the manacles the dead workers had forced her into, not very fond of being restrained in such a manner after being trapped by Van Staden. She looked to her right where the doctor had been locked in between her and Rose. If we create a climate of fear, the editor was explaining, then it's easy to keep the borders closed. It's just a matter of emphasis. The right word and the right broadcast repeated often enough can destabilize an economy, invent an enemy, change a vote. So all the people on Earth are like slaves. Rose frowned. Well, now, there's an interesting point. Is a slave if he doesn't know he's enslaved? Yes, the doctor stated simply. Oh, he pouted. I was hoping for a philosophical debate. Is that all I'm going to get? Yes, Angel answered this time. The editor chuckled. You're no fun. Let me out of these manacles. You'll find out how much fun I am, the doctor glowered. Oh, he's tough, isn't he? But come on, isn't it a great system? You've got to admire it, just a little bit. You can't hide something on this scale, Rose argued. Somebody must have noticed. From time to time, someone, yes. But the computer system allows me to see inside their brains. I can see the smallest doubt. The editor made a fist and crushed it. Cathica stepped off the lift of floor 500, looking around at the snow-covered area before striding across it. Adam peered cautiously into the room Cathica and the other members of the news crew had used before, spotting a large chair on the platform and entered, shutting the door behind him. And then they just carry on, living their life. The editor sighed, strutting about downstairs and all over the surface of the earth like they're so individual. The doctor glanced to his left to check on Angel, knowing it couldn't be easy to be so hindered. He experienced Van Staden scanning himself, been chained up, and she had been left with the man for years on end. But he frowned. She was staring at something just past the editor. He followed her gaze to see she had spotted Cathica at the back entranceway to the room, keeping back so as not to reveal herself. When of course they're not, the editor went on. They're just cattle. In that respect, the Jaggerfest hasn't changed a thing. Well, what about you? Rose glared at him. You're not a Jaggerfest, Angel whispered, pulling her gaze away from Cathica. Jaggerfest? You're not a Jaggerfest. You're human. Yeah, well, simply being human doesn't pay very well, he sighed. But you couldn't have done this all on your own. No, I represent a consortium of banks. Money prefers the long-term investment. Also, the Jaggerfest needed a little hand to, install himself. No wonder, a creature that size. The doctor glanced up. Cathica, still hiding, followed his gaze to see the Jaggerfest on the ceiling. What's his lifespan? 3,000 years, Angel answered before the man could, looking up as well. That's one hell of a metabolism generating all that heat. That's why Satellite 5 is so hot. You pump it out of the creature, channel it downstairs. Jaggerfest stays cool, stays alive. Satellite 5's one great big life support. Adam sat in the chair, snapping his fingers to open his head. He pulled out Rose's mobile and called his home once more. Wait until the machine picked up. Me again, don't wipe this message. It's just gonna sound like white noise. save it because I can translate it, okay? 3, 2, 1, and spike. The compressed information started to flow into his brain, being recorded over the phone. But that's why you're so dangerous, the editor grinned. Knowledge is power, but you remain unknown. He snapped his fingers and the restraints began to send electricity surging through them. Who are you? Adam started to shake, the power overloading him. Yeah, because you don't have those people on the side who were there for safety reasons, like Cathica did. Anyway, the doctor grimaced in pain till the electricity stopped. Leave them alone. I'm the doctor, she's Angel, and she's Rose Tyler. We're nothing. We're just wondering. Tell me who you are. I just said. Yeah, but who do you work for? Who sent you? Who knows about us? Who exactly? He stopped. Adam shuddered, tensing, feeling information being pulled out of him instead. The doctor looked at the editor questioningly as the man grinned. Time Lords. The doctor blinked. What? Oh, yes. The editor laughed. The last 2 Time Lords in the traveling machine. Oh, with that little human girl from long ago. He reached out to Rose's face, only for the girl to turn her head away from him roughly. You don't know what you're talking about, the doctor glared. Time travel. Adam started screaming, the information being ripped from out of him. Someone's been telling you lies. The doctor shook his head. You're Master Adam Mitchell? The editor asked, eyebrows raised. He clicked his fingers and a large security monitor turned on, showing them Adam twisted in agony, shouting as he sat on the chair of Cathica's workroom, a stream of compressed information striking his brain, now with a door like Cathica in his head. Oh my god, his head! Rose's eyes widened. What the hell's he done? The doctor shouted. What the hell's he gone and done? They're reading his mind. Angel shook her head sadly. He's telling them everything. And through him I know everything about you, the editor smirked. He made the door, and we can keep it open, extracting every last detail. The doctor looked sharply at Angel, hearing her words echoed back in the editor. Every piece of information in his head is now mine, and you have infinite knowledge, Doctor. The human empire is tiny compared to what you've seen in your TARDIS. He looked back at the editor. You'll never get your hands on it. I'll die first. We both will, Angel agreed, glaring now. No one was going to lay a finger on the last TARDIS if she had a say in it. It was like the last connection to her family, to her past. Die all you like, the editor shrugged. I don't need you. I've got the key. He turned back at the monitor, where the key to the TARDIS was slowly lifting out of Adam's pocket and dangling before him. Adam had no position to try and snatch it back. You gave him the key? Angel asked Rose. You were your boyfriends. The doctor rounded on her as well. Today, we are the headlines, the editor cut in. We can rewrite history. We can prevent mankind from ever developing. And no one's going to stop you. The doctor's eyes narrowed at the editor, before he turned his gaze to Cathica over the man's shoulder. Because you've bred a human race that doesn't bother to ask questions. Stupid little slaves, believing every lie. They'll just trot right into the slaughterhouse if they're told it's made of gold. He scoffed. More like fool's gold. Angel blinked, catching that, and looking over at him. He cast her a meaningful glance, promising a discussion later, when they had survived this. The glanced back over to see Cathica was gone. Cathica entered a workroom on floor 500, tossing the rotten corpse Eva had discovered off the chair and sitting down on the seat herself. Disengage safety, she commanded. The walls lit up around her. An alarm began to sound in the control room. What's happening? The editor rushed over to the workers at their terminals, staring at the monitors. Maximum access, Cathica continued. Override floor 139. Adam gasped as he was released, the information ceasing to stream into and out of him. Cathica took a breath, preparing herself. Hand, spike. The information shot out and into her. Someone's disengaged safety. The editor spun around. He snapped his fingers and the large monitor switched to Cathica. Who's that? It's Cathica, Rose called. And she's thinking, Angel beamed. She's using what she knows. The doctor laughed. Terminate her access. The editor turned to Eva. Everything I told her about Satellite 5, the pipes, the filters, she's reversing it. look at that. He turned to look at the icicles all around the room starting to melt. It's getting hot. I said terminate, the editor shouted, quickly placing his hands over either. Burn her mind. Oh, no, you don't, Cathica said on the monitor. You should have promoted me years back. All the screens suddenly exploded, sending showers of sparks everywhere, the dead workers falling lifelessly onto their terminals. Satellite 5 shook, alarms going off as Rose squirmed as her manacles opened slightly, managing to slide out of them. Angel partially managed to stay on her left arm, as her left arm released, but not her right. The editor tried to get the corpses upright to work, not noticing the captives freeing themselves behind him. She's venting the heat up here, the doctor shouted. The Jaggerfest needs to stay cool, and now it's sitting on top of a volcano. The Jaggerfest let out a bellowing roar as the doctor chuckled darkly up at it. Yes, the editor shouted at the roar. I'm trying, sir, but I don't know how she did it. It's impossible. A member of staff with an idea. The Jaggerfest just grew angrier as the editor pushed Eva's body aside, trying to operate the computer himself. Rose turned to the doctor, fumbling to get his sonic out of his pocket as the Jaggerfest snapped at them menacingly. What do I do? She yelled. Flick the switch, the doctor ordered. Rose did so and the sonic buzzed. A small explosion went off nearby, causing Rose to jump. She turned back to the manacles, finally getting the doctor out. He grabbed the sonic and turned to undo Angel's remaining one before spinning to the editor. Oi, mate, wanna bang on a certainty? Massive heat in a massive body, massive bang. Lumps of flesh started falling off a Jaggerfest as it swelled. See you in the headlines, he called as they dashed away out the back entrance. The Jaggerfest starting to form a horribly glowing red. Actually, sir, if it's all the same to you, I think I'll resign, the editor called up to it. Bye then. He made to leave, but Eva grabbed his ankle, tripping him over and preventing him from leaving as she held on. He struggled, trying desperately to pull his foot away. Let go of me! The trio ran as fast as they could down the corridor, just barely managing to miss the icy chunks starting to fall off the walls and the ceiling. The Jaggerfest roared in pain. Let go of me! The editor tried to kick Eva away, desperate to escape. They burst into the workroom where Cathica was lying, the information still streaming in terror. The Jaggerfest swelled horribly, exploding moments later as the editor screamed in terror. The doctor clicked his fingers close to the door in Cathica's head. Her eyes fluttered open as she looked up at the doctor, who smiled down at her. Angel stood looking around at everyone in Floor 139's canteen, cleaning up and recovering from the commotion the destruction of the Jaggerfest had caused. The doctor and Cathica were seated at a table a few feet away, talking, as Rose leaned on a counter behind them. We're just gonna go, the doctor said. I hate tidying up. Too many questions. You'll manage. You'll have to stay and explain it. No one's going to believe me, Cathica argued. Oh, they might start believing a lot more things now. The human race should accelerate. We're back to normal. Cathica glanced over at Adam, who was loitering by the TARDIS. What about your friend? He's not my friend, he stated grimly, a menacing hint in his voice. He stood stiffly and stalked over to Adam, Rose and Angel rushing after him. Now don't. Rose began, but the doctor ignored her and strode right up to the boy. All right now, Adam said quickly, trying to play the whole thing off. Much better. I've got the key. He showed the doctor. Well, I know. He gave a nervous struggle. It all worked out for the best, didn't it? The doctor snatched the key off him and grabbed him, opening the TARDIS door. You know, it's not actually my fault, because you were in charge, and pushed the boy inside, ignoring him completely. The doctor steered Adam out of the TARDIS that had appeared in a quaint sitting room. Rose and Angel followed them out, shutting the door behind them. The doctor watched Angel carefully as her attention was drawn right away to a telephone sitting on a small table. It's my house, Adam breathed, relieved. I'm home. Oh my god, I'm home. He looked at the doctor, who just turned his attention back to him, glaring. Blimey, I thought you were going to chuck me out of an airlock. Of course we wouldn't chuck you out of an airlock, Angel said, turning her gaze back at them. Adam started smiling until, the TARDIS doesn't have an airlock, she finished, making her wince and glance at the doctor. Is there something else you want to tell me? The doctor crossed his arms. No, he shook his head, though they could all detect a guilty quality in his voice. What do you mean? The doctor made his way to the telephone, scooping it into his hand and holding it up. The archive of Satellite 5. 1 second of that message could have changed the world. Adam looked caught out as the doctor put the phone down and flashed the sonic against it, blowing it up. That's it, then. See ya. He turned and strode past him towards the TARDIS. How do you mean, see ya? As in, goodbye. But what about me? You can't just go. I've got my head. I've got a ship type 2. My head opens. What, like this? The doctor clicked his fingers, opening Adam's head. Don't, Adam said angrily, snapping his fingers, closing it. Don't do what? He asked instantly, snapping his fingers again. Stop it! Adam shouted, closing it. All right now, Doctor, that's enough. Rose chastised lightly. Stop it. Thank you. Adam smiled at Rose, who just clicked her fingers. Oi! Rose snickered. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Adam closed it. Rose and the doctor looked at Angel, who seemed confused as to why they were staring at her before. Oh! She blushed a bit, realizing it was her turn and snapped her fingers. Enough! Adam shouted, closing it once more. The whole of history could have changed because of you. The doctor became serious again. I just wanted to help. You were helping yourself. And I'm sorry. I've said I'm sorry. I am. I really am. But you can't just leave me like this. Yes, I can. Because if you show that your head to anyone, they'll dissect you in seconds. You have to live a very quiet life. Keep out of trouble. Be average in the scene. Good luck. He turned and moved ahead back into the TARDIS. But I want to come with you. I only take the best for my companions. The doctor turned to him. I've got Rose. There was a sound from the front of the door. There was a sound from the front of the house. The door opening. Oh my God. Adam's eyes widened. Who's that? A woman's voice called. Jeff, is that you? It's me, Mum. It's me, Mum. Don't come in. Wait there a minute. Adam called back. Oh my God, you never told me you were coming home. Rose watched Adam's embarrassed face teasingly as Angel stepped into the TARDIS after the doctor. Hold on, I'll just take my coat off. You should have told me you were coming home. I would have got your favourite tea in. Rose, take me with you, he pleaded. Rose just stared at him as though she had never seen him before and turned toward the TARDIS without without a backwards glance. The engine started moments later. Hey, I'll tell. What's that noise? His mum called. Have you left the back door open? Blimey, there's a draft. She flung open the door to the room just as the TARDIS disappeared. Surprise! Oh, let me look at you. 6 months. Adam nodded. It's like I saw you yesterday. Isn't it funny? The time goes by like that. She clicked her fingers. Her jaw dropped open moments later. How's she looking? The doctor asked, as Angel laid on her back, half her body stuck on the console as she worked on fixing something underneath, the doctor crouching beside her. I've actually seen worse, came her muffled reply. It's nothing I can't fix. You fix TARDISes often back home? Often enough, she replied, laughing. At least 4 times a day, I find something that needed fixing on one of them. He nodded, falling silent as he looked around. Rose had gone off to bed for the night as he had asked Angel to check one of the controls for him, though there wasn't a reason he'd ask. He knew Rose would dash off when talk turned to mechanics, leaving the two of them alone. Angel, he began slowly, there is something I need to ask you. Go on. I told Anna to keep open mind, he began, noticing how she had suddenly grown still and tense, as though knowing what was coming next. And you warned him not to keep it too open, otherwise he may not be able to close it. It was just a joke. But it wasn't just that. You suspected the walls of floor 500 weren't just fool's gold or ice, but dead, which was all true. Not to mention that Cathica's curiosity would get the better of her and she'd save us. And right when we got there, you said it felt slow. She was silent. I just want to know. I don't want to say, she got in quietly. Why not? He asked gently. Angel slowly pulled herself out from under the panel to look up at him. You'll think I'm bummy. Why would I think that? He frowned, his brow furrowing. She shrugged and pushed herself up to sit against the console. Everyone else did. He smiled, scooting to sit beside her. Do I look like everyone else? She smiled softly at that before sighing. Sometimes I say things without thinking, or I get these feelings about things or people, and more often than not, they seem to be right. What sort of feelings? I don't know. She shook her head. Like, if someone's lying, or sometimes I'll get a really bad feeling, something awful will happen. She swallowed hard at that. She had a terrible feeling that day at the war, when everything changed. She begged her sister to stay back when another platoon had come for her volunteers for an attack. She just known something horrible was about to happen. And then her sister had been killed before her. She ended up trapped with a Dalek for 50 years as humans poked and prodded and scanned her. She shook her head from those thoughts, a soft smile coming to her face as she thought more on the recent feelings she had. Or like you. Me? He frowned. She nodded. I knew when I saw you that you'd done something. He nodded. He told her about the end of the war, what had happened, what he'd done. It wouldn't have been fair for her to travel with him and not know. Now that he thought about it, she had taken it remarkably well for finding out that the man who rescued her was the murderer of their entire species. It was almost like she'd already known. It was weird, though, she continued, frowning as she tried to describe it. Like it was something terrible, but necessary. She nodded. Yes, that was it. I could tell that it killed you to do it, whatever it was, that you hated having to do it, but that there really was no other way out. That you were sad and lonely and so sorry. I am, he said quietly, his voice starting to choke with emotion. She just gave him a small smile. I know. Her sister was the last of her family. Her mother had died when she was young. Her father had died much the same in an attack by the enemy. The tortoises they were growing had had to be adapted for the war. The dogs found out and attacked their stock, killing all those beautiful tortoises and her father as well. She'd only had her sister, and when she died, well, it wasn't like the doctor had killed her family. They had already died. She did miss her people, her planet, the tortoises, but something inside her told her it was going to happen anyway. Whether the doctor's hands or not, their race would have fallen regardless. It was only a matter of time. In that sense, she couldn't hate him for what he had done. And in the war, he protected the rest of the universe from its spread, or, she didn't know, perhaps something so much worse? I don't know why I get them, she added. I just do. He nodded slowly, thinking it over. You're precognitive? I don't know. I don't think I am. But you haven't tested on Gallifrey, he asked. On Gallifrey, the precogs, those with the gift to see the future, the visionaries, were very, very rare individuals and very valuable assets, often having a place on the High Council. No, she shook her head. It's not like I can actually see the future, she explained, thinking of what the visionaries were famous for. Actually being able to see beyond what a typical Time Lord could. Just feelings, sensations. She sighed. Everyone at the academy already thought I was odd enough, so I never said anything. I never talked about the feelings I got. The only one I ever told was my mom, but she turned it off. It stung so much worse to think of her mother's death. In war, death is a very real possibility for everyone who participated. But her mother's? That had come out of nowhere. So sudden that she hadn't thought a thing before it. He nodded in understanding before reaching out and taking her hand, squeezing it in comfort and reassurance. Do you get any more feelings? Tell me, please? She looked up at him for a moment. Hold on. She looked up at him a moment. You don't think I'm odd? He just grinned. I think you're fantastic. She laughed and nodded. I will. Good. He nodded as well, just smiling at her. And for once, she actually felt accepted. And that is the end of chapter 6. That's sweet. I love that little sweet moment. And I think that's a common theme with all, like, the episodes and that, like, in the last chapter, it finishes the episode, but it adds a little more, and I think that's super sweet. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the chapter. According to the author, they pointed out how the Doctor only calls old Rosa companions. So that begs the question: what does he consider Angel, if not a companion? So you'll have to see. Hopefully that will get. Hopefully that explains in like maybe the next chapter. I don't remember when. If it when it gets explained, I forget what the explanation was. But yeah, and they're just talking about things in the notes and that, because I'm reading this in an archive, I should point out. But yeah. So if you like the chapter, leave a like, go leave a comment, review. Not on the video. We're done now. Go, because there's links. Go leave a comment or review on the chapters. Like, doesn't matter which one. Don't need an account. On archive, you can also leave a kudos. Again, don't need an account. Whichever one works for you, it's fine. Just go, 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 go. We're done here now. We're done. This is the end of the video. Go do that. And yeah. And be sure to subscribe. Upload videos Fridays and Saturdays. And I'll see you guys next Friday with a new video. Bye!